Hey everyone, sometimes we find that perfect pattern that we want to use over and over again, but using tissue paper many times over, well, that's not really a good idea because they tend to break down quite quickly. So in today's video, I will show you a quick and easy way to transfer this into this. So you have a base pattern on a firmer paper that you can use over and over again. We are actually going to use inexpensive material, which is basically just regular unbleached Kraft paper that you can buy on a roll, which is really inexpensive. It does curl, but I will show you later in the video on how to fix this. To transfer the sewing pattern to paper, you need a few tools. The most important one is to use a tracing wheel, because that is the quickest way of transferring the lines from the pattern into the paper. I also recommend that you use pattern weights and not needles, so you won't get those tiny holes into the paper. You also need a ruler for drafting the grain line and also to help you draft the straight lines on your pattern. And I highly recommend that you get a pattern notcher. These are used in the garment industry and they clip a little notch into the paper, which makes marking super easy. And before we get started, remember to have done all the necessary adjustments on your tissue paper before we transfer it into a firmer paper. So just do all the alteration and preferably have also sewn some garments so you're sure that this is a garment that will fit you well. And now it's time to trace the pattern. Place the cut out pattern piece on top of the sturdy paper. Keep the pattern in place using the pattern weights, and then just draw along the outer lines using the tracing wheels. Sometimes you might need to go a bit back and forth to make sure that you will actually see those tiny little holes that are created by the tracing wheel. And also remember to press quite firmly, especially on thicker paper. It can be sometimes a little bit hard to see all the markings. And you also use the tracing wheel to mark the notches. So just roll over the notches a bit back and forth to create the marking that you will later on cut out using the pattern notcher. And I also like to use the tracing wheel to mark out where the grain line is on the pattern. Once you've done all the marking, it's time to do the cutting. Make sure that the working space is properly lit, because as I said, it can be a little bit tricky to see those tiny dots that are created by the hand wheel. But if you just be mindful, you will probably see them fairly easy, and then just cut along the lines all the way around the pattern piece. Once the entire pattern piece is cut out, it's time for notching. You will use this nifty little tool, just clip into the pattern piece and you will find good notches that is about 5 to 6 millimeters long. So the only thing that remains now is to add the grain line. I like to use a ruler to make sure that the line is straight, and I just align that where I traced the line with the tracing wheel and draw with a pen. I also like to label each pattern piece so I know what I'm working on. So I usually tell what type of pattern piece it is, what garment it is, and of course the size I'm making if I'm working from a particular size. Now, one problem when you're using this inexpensive Kraft paper is that it can curl quite a bit. But luckily, there is an easy fix for that. So what you do is that you just iron over the pattern pieces using a low heat, and that will definitely make the pattern pieces lie way more flat. Of course, heat and paper can react in some ways, so I do recommend that you try using the iron-on sample piece first, just to make sure that the paper can withstand being ironed over. And also you can sometimes notice slight change to the surface, but to me I find that this way works really well when you just want to get the pattern pieces to hang and lie flat. For storage, you can either use one of those hanger that you click on. Those are really nice to use for pattern storage. If you have proper pattern hangers, you can easily make holes in the pattern pieces using one of those tools that are often included when you buy a set of eyelets or snaps. So I just use that tool, give it a little hammering, and then a hole is created. So you just insert the hanger into those holes and you again have created an easy way to store the patterns. This wasn't too hard, was it? Right? I love using this method. I especially recommend it when you find that pattern that really fits you well and you know that you don't want to let that go. For instance, I have done this method for all my pants pattern once I've nailed the fit. I also highly recommend it to use it for those basic styles such as knit tops like the one we did today. This one is close fitting. I actually also have a base pattern for t-shirts, so you can definitely use this method for lots of different pants, and they do last a long time. I have patterns like this that I created 15 years ago that are still going strong. And I know that some of you like to use other materials than paper. For instance, I know that some like to use plastic. Other people like to use those non-woven materials you can find like on massage beds or medical beds. So I really like to know what you prefer for transferring those paper into something more sturdy. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and please subscribe for weekly sewing videos. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye!